What is good, everyone, and welcome back to the Nostalgia Podcast. My name is Taylor, aka Nostalgia. Joining me is As Told by Zoe and K Likes Everything. How are you guys doing today?
Konnichiwa.
I knew.
Even though last time he was like, Kayla, don't do that. And now he's doing it. I'm proud of you.
I gotta
Kayla,
start.
how you doing today?
I gotta start some way.
Kayla,
I'm doing great this.
Oh my
exactly.
goodness.
And look at him, man. Look at him.
It's worse when it's someone else.
I'm not following
Join
suit.
me.
I'm just gonna keep it simple. Today is a huge day. We're really excited about this episode. If you listen to back to episode, was it 108? I think it was.
Yes.
We talked about the web series 2Kawaii4Comfort, and today we have somebody from Rhino Stew Productions. I want everybody to say a big welcome to Luke from Rhino Stew Productions. How you doing today, Luke?
Hooray!
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm doing sugoi desu.
Yes!
Mega
sugoi.
I actually wanted to start with one specific complaint. Not directed at you guys, but just to air some grievances very, very quickly.
Say.
Just to offhand say, do you guys remember the J-pop American Fun Time Wow sketches from Saturday Night Live?
Yes.
Okay. That bothered me so much because they were mispronouncing Japanese the wrong way.
Right.
You know, like that's that was a sketch about weebs, but not written by an actual first-hand weeb. Because you're doing it all wrong.
Correct. You have not read the ancient texts. You do not know how to do this.
Which isn't to say there was still kind of something delightful about Taran Killam like doing his thing. I still have delight from those sketches, but it was all wrong. It was like complete. The level of accuracy to those was nothing compared to the fake Juggalo Festival ads that they used to do with Jason Sudeikis.
Yes.
Those were so uncanny that I just held them up next to real Insane Clown Posse. I could not tell the difference here. This is not satire. Anyway, there we go.
That's awesome. Great opener.
Yes, great way to start.
That was great. Well, for those listening, if you have not listened to our whole episode reviewing and going in depth on 2Kawaii4Comfort, please stop what you're doing, go listen to that episode first, and then come back to this one, because a lot of stuff that we might be talking about, you could just miss or not really know what we're talking about. But if you are stubborn and don't want to go back to another episode, Luke, could you please quickly give your elevator pitch for what 2Kawaii4Comfort is?
Certainly. So I guess the bit we've kind of just settled in on now is 2Kawaii4Comfort is a live-action miniseries about a bad trip to an anime convention. There we go. That's kind
nice.
of
That's really what it is.
Probably
form of that, which I felt disingenuous about using, except that it works, is I keep saying it's like Napoleon Dynamite at an anime convention, which Pulp sets up the perfect and completely wrong expectations for what the show actually is. I almost feel like saying this show is like Napoleon Dynamite is almost like saying Doki Doki Lit Club is a dating sim, you know?
Correct. Correct.
I mean,
it hurts just the same.
Technically.
Yes.
And the answer is technically in big, bold red letters.
Yeah. Also italicized. Yeah.
Also with a massive footnote that's just a giant, crazy page-long footnote at the end. But yeah,
it's really...
It's
really funny that you say that, because when Taylor and I saw a trailer of this show on Twitter.
Yes.
And I think this trailer has reviews and one's from like ProZD.
Yes.
Like, I think I don't remember who said it, but maybe ProZD said like it's The Office meets Napoleon Dynamite or something along those lines, and I'm like, oh, this must be hilarious, and it is hilarious, but it
also hurts.
It switches. It
hurts. And here's the thing: when Taylor and Andre came up to me in our group chat and we're like, oh, we need to watch this show, and they sent me the trailer, I specifically said there is receipts. Where I go, this is going to hurt me. And I just didn't know how much, because I knew. Oh.
Well, that's like the weird thing. I feel like people had been waiting for this show in some form or another.
Yeah.
Like something like this had to be made. And it's always just sort of the weird thing where I keep looking around where I'm like, well, I guess it was us.
Right.
I guess we were the ones that made. Somebody had to try.
I guess I'll do it.
I guess I'll. Well, I'll also say I won't say Al. I guess because it was a massive collaborative effort. Like,
of course.
To say I made the show be completely, not only completely incorrect, but also just like especially on a project like this, it really was just a massive collaborative effort. But I think that it was just the vision of like a lot of the project, I think there were ideas that had always been there, but to just be like, let's do it as live action and try to play it completely straight. As straight as we play it. Like there's parts of it that don't play straight, but there's parts of it that it's like I wanted it to feel like I do personally view it more like a very, very funny drama than like a comedy, quote unquote.
Sure.
Yes.
For sure.
I felt like I knew every single one of those characters, and I was like, I'm in it. This is real to me. And I'm getting war flashbacks.
So if I could ask, where's everyone hailing from? Where is everybody coming in from right now?
So I'm from Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, me and Zoe or Andre, we went to college together in Georgia, and then you guys can answer where you guys are actually from. So
it's very. I think I'm like the glue piecing Taylor and Kayla together, because I'm from Miami. I went to Piedmont. I went to Piedmont in Georgia to play baseball. Became best friends with Taylor. Came back down to Miami. Taylor would come visit me. I was friends with Kayla's brother and other friends first, but we met through mutual friends. We played D&D together. We became very close. Taylor came down to visit, introduced them. Everyone we all just kind of like, oh, we should have Kayla on the podcast.
It's like, guys, performing a band would be a bit too much, but a podcast.
Right. Even though they are both very musical, but the funniest thing is that I knew that they had an anime podcast, and I was like, that's so funny considering that both of y'all are very late to the anime game, and I am your anime elder. So I feel like that's very funny. You should have me on an episode one day. And my very first episode on the podcast will forever be my favorite, which is that all sports anime are gay, and it's true. Every single one, they're all in love. They're all in love.
Don't gas her up. Don't gas her up.
I'm vindicated! Oh my god, it is how Luke. Thank you so much.
Don't gas her up, please.
I'm going to record that clip, and I'm going to play it every time.
Sword? Are we taking out a mother frickin' Final Fantasy? Oh my god.
I'm trying to get into the space.
Trying to get immersed.
Of 2Kawaii4Comfort. I got my Buster sword. I got my Uma Musume shirt.
There is a distinct lack of giant swords in the show. I will actually say that's my fault. There should have been.
We needed more big swords.
If season 2 happens, I promise I will more than make up for the lack of giant swords.
Hold on. You just said if, not if. I need the rest.
I want to say there's a difference between what we have coming up and what would be season 2.
Ooh. So that's a great.
That's what I would want to say.
That's a great segue. So I think setting as far as like getting this out, I guess, okay, I'll ask, like, what, how do you feel about just the random, I don't think it's random, but just the resurgence of people coming back to this web series, or new people discovering it and wanting more out of it? Because this came out, what, 8 years ago?
Yeah.
And so, like, how does that feeling like for you guys at the production studio, where, like, new people and are coming to this show and finding it and loving it, and, like, it's having some sort of, like, resurgence?
It is one of the most wonderfully frustrating experiences in the entire world. Like, it feels like getting a blood transfusion, but at the same time, it's just like, I will say this. Here is my weird kind of take on it, because now that I've finally become somewhat social media savvy, which, you know, that's a whole other skill and journey in of itself. But, like, I was talking to somebody who's actually, like, a very well-established influencer, and, you know, they actually said, hey, do you want, like, I know some people at insert name of magazine, do they want to cover the show? And, you know, of course I said, yeah, of course. But even though I was like, you know, I said that's like, it's weird and it's skeptical and it's somewhat disillusioning to being like, you know, this is the same, like I was also just telling somebody about this. It feels weird of being like, nothing about this show has changed in the last 8 years. Literally nothing. It is the same upload that we uploaded this entire time, and it feels like we didn't get better. Everything else just got worse. You know, that's like a weird...
Yeah.
It's a weird feeling to make, and it's also weird to say, like, oh, you wanted to get coverage for the show. Why? Because we're doing well on social media? Is that the story that, like, such, you know, this project all of a sudden is getting recognized? Why? Well, was it, you know, even though it was because it was good, it's like, oh, projects find success on social media. And I'm like, isn't there something, you know, somewhat sickening about that? Which isn't to be a knock on all of the wonderful people who've, like, you know, now formed what is basically a community, which I'll hopefully get a Discord. Oh, we have a Discord. We're going to reopen it back up.
Fun!
But it's an overwhelmingly positive, but not necessarily like carefree or guilt-free feeling, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you found us on Twitter. It's a god-awful platform. Like, I can't believe how
I will use it.
Unbelievably disgusting it is. And, you know, I was actually just talking to somebody where they're like, you use Twitter? And I'm like, no, I repost on Twitter. Okay, I don't try to actively. I am not trying to engage with this platform. I am trying to like put up my little apples for 5 cents stand and get the frick out of here. Because what sucks is, like, yes, this engagement was game changing for us, you know, and it was crazy, but it was also like you know, the weird thing about a reluctance to try to go through social media and to try to use social media. Was like, you know, a big thing that when we came out, Instagram was still for vacation photos. Reels weren't a thing. And TikTok was still Musical.ly. And it's also to say that, like, at that time when we were doing it, you know, like, it's weird being like the people who we were, quote unquote, in competition with or head to head with. We weren't like competition, but we were in like the same arena. It was like Anime Crimes Division. You know, and they never had to advertise for their show. They were just an advertisement. They weren't cutting their clips up and putting, so that there wasn't even at that time, you know, a precedent for clipping like there is right now.
Right, for sure. Like
it's weird to say the clip economy, but like I found you guys because of the clip economy, and the clip economy is the new standard.
Crazy.
And I will say this: if it's one thing that I'm grateful for my time at Emerson, quote unquote, the one useful thing was I took a course on the development of the American musical, and one thing that gave me perspective on is exactly how media evolves in coordination with the economics and the times and the distribution systems. And just like, even what we're experiencing now. Hi, Kay, you look like you're about to...
Yeah, she's about to go.
You're about to
I don't want to interrupt you. I do that more for myself, like when I have a thought, because I have ADHD, and I'm like, if I don't do something physical, I will forget the thought. So you can finish, and then I will go.
It's like every system of marketing has an inherent element of exploitation to it on some level. So, like, it's a necessary evil. But it's an evil that we're trying to embrace as ethically as possible. So that's exciting right there.
Yeah.
Yes, Kay.
Yes, so sorry. What I was going to say is the show 2Kawaii4Comfort, I feel, came back not only because of clipping and how the internet works now, but because there is like what I joked around earlier telling Andre and Taylor that there's like a weebaissance, like a renaissance for weebs, because it's also a recession indicator, right? Like when the world is doing really well, we're not reaching out to each other, we're not making connections, we kind of like stick in our very small circles, because we don't have to branch out and grab at hope from other human beings. But as the world takes a dip and starts getting scary, we begin to branch into like, I have to connect with more people because I feel unsafe, and I feel like if I talk to more people, I will be grounded in that reality and not the current one I'm in. And so anime culture and all of its branches, being in the furry community and the gaming community and the tabletop game community, it is one that, like, even for me personally, keeps me tethered to this reality, because I'm like, oh, everything horrible is happening in the world, but I have D&D every Monday, and for that I am safe, and for that I am good. So when you mentioned when it came to like economics and things, I was like, well, yep, that's a point that I wanted to talk about, and it came up organically, and it is crazy.
And I think the other crazy thing that's experiencing right now is a sort of blowback against the COVID anime surge.
Yes.
So to ask that question, because Kay, you're an elder statesman of anime fandom. Right?
Yes, quite old.
Yes. Taylor and Andre, when did you guys get started? What was your egg crack moment?
Well, this is pretty funny because it kind of relates to the podcast a little bit. I used to watch Dragon Ball Z with my dad all the time, and so when I was a kid, so like Toonami was something I used to watch all the time as a kid. But it's funny, like, you watch those shows and you don't really, I guess in my space and the people around me, you don't really realize that it's anime until somebody just kind of straight up tells you. And so that's kind of where I started, but I really was like, okay, the anime fan bug kind of bit me when I was in college. Like, it's like freshman, sophomore year of college. I think the first one I actively sat down to watch was Bleach. That's my baby to this day. I love that show, and the manga. And then it was Bleach, and then Soul Eater randomly, like those two specifically.
Not randomly, it was chosen for you.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah,
so good.
So those two specifically were like the ones I really got into, and then from then on, it was like I was watching everything, like even stuff where I was like, even stuff that was definitely like, if somebody was to walk in on my computer, I walk in while I'm watching it, they would be kind of like side-eyeing me like, what the hell are you watching, Taylor?
Food Wars. Food Wars.
Food Wars, High School DD, High School the Dead.
Yeah.
What else was there that I just was like, I don't know if I should be watching this or not. There was one, I cannot remember the name of the show, but it was like, there was one show I'm watching and I'm like, I don't think I need to be here. I don't think I need to be in this space right now watching this show. But when I graduated and me and Zoe started talking about like doing stuff podcast related, it's kind of related to the title of the podcast, because Nostalgia Ultra by Frank Ocean is a album or mixtape that me and Zoe both love.
So this is a My Hero Academia Frank Ocean.
Yes, there we go. Yeah, we're putting it together. So I mean, but Zoe can definitely talk for himself on his journey, but that's kind of where it started, where he started watching a little bit of anime, and I was just trying to pull him along a little bit, like, hey, can we just talk about this a little bit more? I know you like it.
You tricked him with music.
to quickly interject, because now that's actually, Bleach is so funny to think about in terms of like modern anime discourse, because it's, you know, it was like it was like a hot topic level popular. It was Bleach, Naruto, and that, but like Bleach was also, in terms of from an animation department, it was almost like in that Rurouni Kenshin era of anime.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like when I think of like modern, like comparing JJK to Bleach actually feels like one of those concepts that I'm like, you know what, an anime movie version of Bleach would have been kick-ass. There was so much potential for like a much more spectacle driven version of Bleach, but it never really was a spectacle anime. It was still kind of like I always thought it was just Naruto, but with cooler fashion sense in a certain way.
The art was always killer. I think that Bleach came to the US at a time where people were starting to like eat anime up in a mainstream way. So they were like, big sword, big fight, big man, little girl, we're in. And which was great, because it started to, instead of me being in my little like corner talking about like Inuyasha and Sailor Moon and Tokyo Mew Mew, I started hearing other people be like, oh, so now you also think Naruto's cool, and you're also starting to watch it on Toonami, and you're giving it more of a try, and Bleach helped push that forward. My favorite things were always the Bleach movies, because after a while, my brother finished the show, but I never did, because I got stuck in Fillerville, and I was like, if I am not released from these shackles, I'll never make it out.
The bout arc's a slog. I'm sorry.
It's so hard.
The other key problem with Bleach was there was a very clear peak at Bleach. There's a very clear, okay, this is unbelievably awesome, and it's never going to get this good ever again. But you know,
Taylor's crying right now on the inside.
No. I can see where somebody would make that argument. Yeah. I just love this, because it's funny is after the Rescue Rukia arc, and so we can get to your after the rescue, like the Soul Society arc where they rescue Rukia. At that point, well, it's funny, like in my journey with anime, I didn't know what filler was, so I'm watching the bout arc that comes right after that, which is filler, and I'm like, this shit sucks. I'm like, this is like, and so that's how I became a manga reader, is because I was like I just transitioned to reading the manga for Bleach, because I realized, okay, it has the source material, let me just read that. Read through all of that, and then went back and watched like the Bleach anime or whatever. And now it's one of those things where manga is like, I would rather, if I know a show, if I know an anime is if I know a certain title is getting an anime adaptation, I just read the manga first, because I just feel like that sometimes will kind of help with my enjoyment of the show, but also just, you know, I just became a manga reader because of Bleach, funny enough. But so please give your we kind of got off track a little bit, but give
that's
fine.
Spiel. So the first time I grew up around anime fans my whole life, and I enjoyed the occasional Dragon Ball as a kid, but I finally gave it a shot after my friends in high school were like, Attack on Titan is the best show ever, you gotta Naruto this. I was like, and I don't know why, because I've been a huge nerd my whole life when it comes to literally anything else. And in college, I'm roommates with Taylor, and I finally dipped my toe into everyone's first anime, Sword Art Online.
Woo! And you should know there was a very stern judgment nod that happened on my end. I know my webcam up, but I want you to know that like there was a sprite change, and the sprite's back to normal, but there was a brief sprite change right there.
The sprite change from like I'm thinking of the sprite from not Soul Eater. No, it is Soul Eater with Excalibur, where they're like smiling, they go, and then they come back.
Whichever one you prefer, yes.
Yeah.
In at least that era, a lot of people were talking about Sword Art Online, and I was like, I like this. But I remember the first anime that I really, really enjoyed, and I love bringing it up, the Devils of Part-Timer. That one, I got through And the thing is, when I was in college, Taylor played basketball, I played baseball. I didn't really get along with a lot of my teammates on the baseball team. They were just very different. Didn't enjoy a lot of the things I enjoyed. And I remember being in study hall with the baseball team, watching the Devils a part-timer.
Aww.
And like, nobody made fun of me. It wasn't like I was getting bullied, but it was like they were just asking a lot of questions. And I was like, I don't know, man. I like it. It's funny. It's Japanese, okay, I guess, but whatever. But then I didn't really get into it until Taylor wanted to start this podcast. That's when I started watching My Hero, and I started really liking My Hero. But then dipped my toes into other, like, my favorites, like Ava, Sunny Boy, kind of darker stuff. I finally watched Death Note a few years ago. One of those people that I didn't see it as a kid. Yeah, I am the youngest in anime age here. I'm more the music video game guy. But you know,
is that an Oswald hat you have on, by the way? What's on the hat?
Oh, Michael Mouse.
Oh, Michael Mouse.
Michael Mouse.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the, I think that's a Tomorrowland little orbiter, astro orbiter.
Your brother has this.
The matching one.
See, again,
we're also big Disney people, so
again, that's what I'm saying. Like, growing up, I wasn't an anime guy, but I could tell you any lore about anything in the Disney parks. So it's not like I was too separate. Like, I wasn't too cool for school. I just don't know why I didn't watch anime as a kid.
That's what really, I think that's what grinds my gears about post-COVID anime fandom, is there's so many, or at least, you know, I don't want it. I've also, you know what, this might shock you. I don't want to judge people, you know, let he who is without sin throw the first judge. But from my viewing, so much freaking, especially like the influencer sphere, like post-COVID anime fandom, it's just anime. It's like these people, and all they do is anime, and all they talk about is anime. And that's and that's like, it's like a form of inbreeding. It's like weird. I'm like, you're not supposed to only do anime, you know? Like you're like being an otaku in the true sense. It was watching sci-fi shows, and it was like listening to weird music, and it was just being a junkie in general, and not just ascribing to one specific aesthetic. Especially because I think that, you know, especially, you know, to kind of, I will throw like one weird stone at AniTube, but just like, because I wasn't a part of that culture like at all, and I do think the idea of like just riffing on anime and just doing on that seems like such a boring thing in a lot of ways. And that is, and in a weird way, that isn't to say, you know, I love academically studying anime and appreciating anime, but at the same time, that's also not what the social media game around anime is anymore.
Right. No, it definitely changed I think social media in general just changed in 2020 because everyone decided, instead of being able to post about whatever they wanted to do, you had to get a niche. And if you didn't have a niche, then people wouldn't follow you. So, and I remember telling, when I started my like posting journey, I had started off as like Kay likes Disney, because I do go to Disney a lot. I'm a big Disney fan. But I'm like, after a while, I'm like, well, I don't really just like Disney. I also like Marvel, and I like anime, and I like comic books, and and it got to a point where I'm like, I'm just Kay likes everything. Like, I like everything. I really do. And unfortunately for gaining followers, it's horrendous, because people, when I go to like furry conventions, I grab furry people, and they're like, ooh, I'll follow you because you'll make furry content. But then I'll do like pin content where I collect enamel pins, and then those people follow me, but then they all just kind of like leave. Like, basically whatever I'm posting that week, I'll gain followers of that type of person, and then it goes away. And I'm like, I know there are more people who are into everything, but we've like, as a culture, just been like, this is the only thing I like, and this is my personality now, and I don't know anything else, and I don't know how to act outside of those, parameters that I've like shackled myself to. You don't have to do that.
It's so weird because there's a part of me that always wants to say I don't know people like that, but I feel like there are people, or at least I try not to, because I stay the frick off of social media, except in
That's
this
nice.
sense.
Except in this, yes.
Except in this, but I try to, I want to give people the benefit of the doubt so badly, and I don't know why there is this. And I don't even know if it's a reality, but this feeling that everything feels so much more limited right now to a certain extent. Because all of a sudden, I come across you guys. You guys seem like well-balanced and chill folk. A lot of the people I've been interacting with, not to toot our own horn, but pretty much everyone within the 2Kawaii, fandom, quote unquote, have been delightful to just message and interact with. I don't know where there is because the other thing that I will say is I don't know how much of that feeling is engineered right now. This feeling of people being singularly obsessed. And I'll put on my weird little frickin' Hunter S. Thompson conspiracy hat for a second. I wonder how many of those people are actually real people. I wonder how much of this weird isolated discourse is dead internet and being fueled by bots, and not to, because guess what?
Listen, I love a tinfoil hat.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Audrey invited me to but at the very least that I feel like, I've just been to a couple cons. They were freaking great. I was chatting with everyone and I'm like, you know what? I'm getting none of the weirdness when I'm at these cons that I'm feeling when I'm online or when I'm interacting online.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's sort of my weird thought on all that. So, I bet those influencers, they're doing stuff and they're getting followers. How much of that is real engagement?
That's true.
I actually do want to ask. I'm willing to bet, and I'll put my weird little. I bet it's going to come out that a lot of this stuff is so much more bot fueled than we give it credit for, and it's very engineered and it's very.
Oh my god! I've just had an epiphany.
An epiphany has been had
because this is such a great topic to bring up. Taylor and I had a conversation the other day because I saw a tweet of someone complaining about this new season of JJK. Luke, you might not know, in this group, I am the movie guy. I went to film school. I was an assistant director on a low budget film. I love movies, and a lot of what JJK is this season is very not just cinematic, cinematic can mean literally anything, but it's referenced. They're doing a lot of stuff that would be seen in a live action film. That scene specifically of Yuji meeting Hikari, and it's stationary and it's one shot and it's rotoscoped. As a film buff, I sat there and I was jumping, even though it's the calmest scene ever. I'm just going, oh my god, this is so cool. And specifically that scene, this person was like, you call that cinema? And I was texting Taylor and I was like,
this is the definition of cinema.
This one person, all they consume is anime. They don't branch out and consume. It doesn't have to be Western movies. They don't consume Japanese movies or Chinese movies. They don't consume anything. All they do is anime. And I was getting so upset. And it just hit me. I was like, what if that guy is just a bot?
Yeah.
It could be for engagement. For engagement purposes.
I was going to say, it's you know what? And I want to encourage that level of paranoia in interacting online right there.
Yes.
I actually think that that's the way we need to and should be thinking, because it's it's like, okay, do we live on a planet with crazy people, or which we do, don't get me wrong, or do we live in a society where there's a bunch of very shadowy frickin' tech and media organizations that are trying to do their best to engineer conflict because that's what sells.
Yeah.
Oh boy!
Because ultimately, it's people trying to drive engagement by any means necessary, and this is the after results of that.
It's literally. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, like, even though the internet always sucks to a degree, it never felt this actively hostile and like weird. There's such an active hostility that's happening right now. That's like really insane to witness. But again, how much of it is engineered? And I think that we need to start waking up and realizing. I bet most of this is engineered. I bet that. That when you even with people who are unhinged, when you sit down and have civil discussions with people, you don't get this kind of crap out of them. There's something rotten going on.
Absolutely. It's so funny because you're talking to like Queen Tinfoil Hat because I love like falling down rabbit holes and just like of any random lore that appears to me. I'm like, new thing to learn, new thing to read and read everybody's comments and all that jazz. And I just think about the scene in the latest Superman movie where everyone interacts with like Superman's post or whatever, and it's like just angry monkeys.
Yeah, that was the scene of the century. I still freaking love that.
Oh my god, like that's what's happening in our world, and it's all, you know, for distraction of many things because it keeps people chronically online and it keeps them from like going outside and touching grass. And then you go, oh, yeah, I don't have to be angry about anything at all, actually. Like,
it's weird how it's like, I love how we haven't talked about the show yet at all. No rush.
I know, it's great.
Like my producer hat was coming on literally as soon as Caleb about to finish that sentence. I was like, it's right here.
I will... Like it's interesting to talk because I was thinking about this, like not to bring iDubbbz into this for a second, but you guys are online enough where like there was something fascinating. The only reason why, because you know, shocker. Yeah, well, first I knew people who were involved in the Creator Clash fiasco, and I was like, and I'm always interested to see like how the internet changes and how it evolves and all that stuff. There was something that felt so real at that time about that kind of nihilism, you know, where it was like, you know, when there was like Filthy Frank and iDubbbz, and it was like, you know, people doing like stuff that again would even work. Like Jackass always felt like it had heart at the core of it. This was just like you know, people doing like real edgy nihilistic-y kind of stuff. And at the time, it felt this like at a time as somebody, because I'm a good little boy. I'm somebody who wants to be a good little boy at heart and follow all the rules and play nice. But like, you know, there was something that felt like truthful in how transgressive all that stuff was. Where I'm like, okay, so you know, you aren't playing by the societal rules, but in the sense, you know, we look at the people that are making the societal rule stuff, and they're not making stuff that's as shocking and provocative as what you're making. And I think that shows like how cringe we as a society are, quite. And now I'm just watching these guys now, and I'm like, this all sucks. Like even the edgy stuff sucks now. The edgy stuff is cringe. Like that's the weird thing. It felt like it went from edgy is calling people cringe, and now edgy is just the new cringe. I'm like, whoa, this is... I don't even think... This doesn't even feel remotely cool or fun anymore. And I'm not trying to say that in like a holier than thou, better than that way. I'm like, you guys burnt out. You know, there was only so far you can go with that stuff. Yeah. And now it's like, I don't even know if this is entertainment anymore. And again, this was like... I will say this, and then I will happily talk about the show. This is... Because you guys are fucking talking about some internet stuff. I don't know exactly...
I love this.
Yeah, this is actually my favorite.
I don't know exactly how or when Asmongold entered into my life, because, you know, he's one of those beings that I guess everyone needs to know about now. And I sort of, you know, I remember just the first time I saw a thumb, because I don't watch streamers, I don't do any of this stuff. But I looked at a thumbnail and I was looking at this person who looked like the Momo-kun meme, you know, like an IRL version of the Momo-kun meme. And I looked and I'm like, why would anybody be looking at this guy when they could be looking at a beautiful woman. You know, like you could stop at any second right now and pull up what a naked beautiful woman at that. You could watch pornography. You could watch a beautiful love scene from an R-rated, but instead you're somehow a lot of people are making the choice to watch this guy. And then I realized, oh, this is the default. I made a mistake in assuming that humanity existed as this like font of art and beauty and creativity and love. And then I realized, no, humanity is this. And all of this love and creativity, that's a side effect. No, Asmongold is the true root of humanity.
Wow.
That exists, and everything
I'm back in art school. We're having a critique. Okay, Taylor, before you guide us into the world of the questions of the show, I always start when we have our interviews with people, especially because we are an anime podcast, and we've kind of all spoken about some anime in our early lives and early years. So, Luke, I have to ask, do you have a favorite anime currently, or could you give us a top 3? And you could also, I'd even say you can mix in gaming in there as well, things that help to like inspire.
I think.
Can you hear my cat?
I cannot
crying
hear you.
in the background.
No.
He is. Give me 2 seconds. We can keep rolling.
Okay, I will go ahead. I'll wait for Taylor to come.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. We have this happen now. There are 2 cats on the podcast. So Taylor has a cat, and Andre has a cat, and I will soon have a dog. And so there's just going to be just little naminals talking all the time.
Menagerie. You guys got something going.
Yes.
I have a bike. I don't have a pet, but I have a bike.
One could say that you're the hamster and that's your wheel.
I actually like that. I like that. But it's cool because it's a hamster wheel in the sense that it's like that Axel guy from Twisted Metal. It's a wheel I ride. Anyway, sorry, did I mean?
I'm the gamer guy. I love game references. But okay, Taylor.
So the
question.
biggest one, which I honestly at this point look at, even the true moment I lost my anime virginity, and it was the best anime episode I think ever to lose your anime virginity to. And I'm saying true anime virginity. I'm talking Adult Swim. Right. And it was the Inuyasha episode with Yura of the Demon Hair.
I have to leave. Thank you.
Unfortunately, because me and my friend Jacob, we were hanging out at my parents', we had a little vacation home in New Hampshire for a while, not a little bit. But we were staying up late, and then all of a sudden Adult Swim came on. And at that time, that felt like you were breaking the game. You know, that was the kill screen of television. You're like, oh, are we going to see the off-limit? Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, change the channel now. As soon as you see that blue brackets, change the channel.
Yep.
Because I will say, prior to that, the one that fried my mind was Princess Mononoke. I saw Princess Mononoke when that came out. And, when you see him shoot the frickin' guy's arm off.
With just...
Yeah, and that was whoa. And then I was never more horrified and excited in my entire life. I was like, whoa!
Yeah.
So that got it kind of started, but the Year of the Demon Hair episode of Inuyasha, first off, standalone. Second, the hottest anime. She's it's like if you're the Demon Hair and Reze teamed up in the league of hottest anime bitches to ever do it.
Oh, she's so hot, and I remember when I was little, I think I was in the 4th or 5th grade when I saw that Inuyasha episode. Yeah. And I remember being I could grow up to be that. I did not grow up to be that, but I could. And I was like, I want to look like that. I want to be able to be so skinny that I'm able to, carry myself with my hair. And the way she was brushing the hair on the skulls, and I wanted to be that cool, edgy kid, because I was definitely not. Yeah. I was like, she's everything I want to be and more. She is a baddie.
I know.
Great pull.
I've never been so scared, but also, God, I wish you would kiss me with any other, like...
The power of horrified and horny.
Well, I was also going to say, that to me, also another big COVID weeb stereotype thing I feel like is, like, Rumiko's the GOAT as far as I'm considered. Like, and the cool thing about Rumiko, Rumiko, I'm sorry, forgive me for any pronunciation.
You're good,
Go Menasai. You know, she designs for the female gaze as much as the male gaze with her characters. And there's something wonderfully accessible about that, where it's like, oh, this is for everyone to get hot over. You know, this isn't just a, you know, this isn't objectifying women for the sake of men. This is objectifying women for the sake of everyone.
Yes.
Right there.
Yes.
So there's that. My favorite anime movie, I think the other one that's the most influential personal to me is, have you ever seen Osamu Tezuka's Metropolis?
I have not.
No, I haven't.
I have to Google.
So you guys have to Google and watch this immediately, and even make this your next episode. I will listen to it if this is your next episode. Idea. But what's fascinating, I saw it when it came in theaters, and I loved it, and I didn't fully understand, like, because the neat thing was it was the script was by Otomo, so Otomo did the script. The animator was Rintaro, who's the god. You know, it was like one of the biggest. He did Steam Boy, a lot of other stuff for Tezuka Productions. But like, it's so crazy because like you know, really you kind of have to be like an old school weeb or like really deep into otaku to get into Tezuka's stuff. And I like, and even today, if you read it, it's so his style and his ideas were so far beyond anything that was happening at the time. And the crazy thing with Metropolis, because it was based on what was Tezuka's first manga, but Tezuka never actually like lived to see it get adapted. They literally they waited for him to pass on before they made an adaptation of Metropolis. And all of the characters are in Tezuka's style. So they look like Astro Boy. They have those weird deformed proportions. But the story is so like sophisticated and adult and like complex and deep. And the atmosphere is incredible, and the themes are incredible, and the music is incredible. You know, you have an Akira poster right behind you. I prefer Metropolis to Akira, because in a sense it's like, and that's you know, Akira's a masterpiece. That isn't me wanting to, you know, knock it down, but I think with Metropolis,
I get it.
Like, Tezuka was so inspired by Disney. But he literally saw Bambi and it made him cry in a movie theater. And that's where all the like the doe-eyed anime actually stuff, like the big anime eye trope originated with Bambi and things like that and started to move forward. And he was like, Bambi is awesome. Bambi made me cry. What if Bambi had robots? And that became all of anime was that notion of what if Bambi was a sci-fi story.
Amazing.
And the anime version. Oops, hold on. My mic stand is having a day right now.
No worries.
And the anime version of Metropolis is just so gorgeous and thick, and beautiful. And so that's probably like my favorite anime movie right there. And my favorite, and I will quickly say the two things that I'm. I think Big O is also like a massive show. I love Big O. The Read or Die OVA is my top tier anime right now. I think that's like that says a lot about 2Kawaii4Comfort that my favorite things are OVAs instead of series.
Right.
You know, I always thought that like the compact storytelling of OVAs were so much more cool and rewatchable than like you know, getting that I love long form series. Like I do dig stuff that's like, you know, you get to hang out and spend. But there's something. But again, their OVAs are more like movies, but they're just really unconventional movies. You know, they're movies that don't have a standard runtime or procedural. So Read or Die is great, and right now I'm actually working my way through the Blackjack OVA series that just got re-released. on Animego, and that's I love that shit. That's like yes.
Taylor, didn't you talk about this one? Someone sent this to me. No, the Blackjack one, because he looks like my type of like monster type. Someone sent me this.
Well, Blackjack is anime Dr. House. It's fucking insane.
Perfect, actually.
Yeah. So those are my big series and recs right there. And if I had to pick, if I had to pick a favorite Shonen Jump one, Yu-Gi-Oh. Fucking early run Yu-Gi-Oh. Even when it was just the trading card game, I fucking love Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great show. Okay, producer Hat Taylor's coming on. Okay,
he's there.
So I know that you mentioned like 2Kawaii4Comfort kind of having that OVA or contained story feel. I do want to ask about like the overall production. Like, what was it like putting together a production like this? Because we on our podcast episode we reviewed it. We talked about how good some of the cinematography was, and also even to some of the special effects. Like for an indie project to have certain special effects, like when Toki has that scene in the break room, in the back room with the tentacles, or the whole Undertale thing with Randy.
Yeah,
like we really like. So what was it like, having to produce and form this kind of short form show?
Well, like all true great stories, we had no idea what the fuck we were doing. That's
beautiful.
That is the key. We did, and I mean that in the sense that we had an incredibly talented crew. We've never made anything like this before. We were like, it was one of those things where my dad had relatively recently passed away at that time. And I had some money from because we sold my childhood home, and I was like, hey, I have some money. We can put it in a project and not worry about making any of it back. Just, take one crazy swing. And we pitched about, and I had this script which started as like a scene for a playwriting class. Like the first thing that wrote was the car ride scene. And so like episode 1 was pretty much, and that remained relatively unchanged. And it was written because like I loved the idea. I was obsessed with that idea for a scene because like there's something so cool. Because first off, I feel like everybody has had to experience the car ride from hell at some point in their lives.
Yes, it comes for us all.
There's something very funny about the car ride from hell. Because, it becomes one of those, I thought we were doing this to have a good time kind of things. And it's just weird to see, like, people being miserable while trying to have a good time. And that feels, I don't know, great. But just, like, the idea of being trapped and cramped like that. And and then I realized, oh, wait, I guess this could work as a film thing. And then it, like, stalled for years because I didn't know what the hell happened after the car crash. And that's where I was like, well, do we have stuff before that? Is it a road trip movie? What the hell is this? And eventually when I pitched the idea to John, that's when we kind of started like, we did the one thing which you should never, we broke the biggest rule of quote unquote web series. And the biggest rule of web series is write what you have. We didn't do that. We didn't have any of the stuff for 2Kawaii4Comfort. All we knew is that compared to most film ideas, this would have been a relatively simple idea to execute. And the biggest draw to it was like, we can create this crazy sense of world building with through very limited means. What is an anime convention? It's a bunch of people in costumes and a few signs in a conference room.
Right.
And of course, when it comes to the reality of shooting something like that, it ends up being much, much more complicated. But a lot of it was just like, I think the biggest rule, as always, play to your strengths. That's kind of the biggest rule with anything, which is like, do we have like, can we do an insane action scene with a lot of camera movement? No. Can we get some really interesting, charming dialogue with some great actors and characters? Yeah, we can do that. So let's try to keep the focus on that rather than like trying to blow anyone's mind with like visual. I will say this, the thing that I'm always the most satisfied with the show is that it always, I think that with a lot of modern filmmaking, it's so obnoxiously aesthetic and vibes and mood driven that it feels purposeless in a sense. And everything in 2Kawaii feels very purpose driven. Like everything that you see in all of the arrangements and all of the compositions, they play into the greater story and how everything bounces off of each other. Because it is a character drama at its heart. I think that everything serves the characters to that bigger extent. But in terms of shooting it, we had a month of pre-production and 2 weeks to film it. That's what we had. Which, 2 weeks and like 2 days off. So it was a 12-day shoot. And we did it all in the Los Angeles area, and we just did it with locations that we could find or whatever we had access to. Which again is not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to grab a few of your friends, write parts for your friends, have everybody pitch in and make it sort of a communal effort. And this was us basically trying to make a movie. On an absolute shoestring budget, but it's an episodic movie. And the thought that we had going into it was like, okay, all of this we can theoretically shoot except the ending. So we filmed it, and then I was editing it. It's like, I hadn't edited anything like this before, or in a narrative space. So that was also just sort of like, I had the project in my head and I was feeling it as I went along. And sorry about that. Oh yeah. And then of course, I was just releasing it cold. I was just like putting it up on YouTube, because what I was convinced was going to happen, which I was wrong about, was I was like, oh, somebody's going to see this and somebody's going to react to it. And there's going to be some big viral reaction stream to this show. Because that's how stuff got noticed back then, That was like, oh, the Five Nights at Freddy effect, or I guess that's what I'll call it, because that's what it was. Because our show, like, and when people saw it, they were having massive reactions to it, and they were doing back in. But like when I was like, let's release these episodes, we'll do a crowdfunding campaign for the finale, and we weren't anywhere near our goal with our crowdfunding campaign. And that was because, we had people who watched it, but we didn't really have an audience. We didn't really have like, we weren't very connected to our community. And that's completely changed now with Instagram and TikTok and Twitter. And now we actually have a way to reach people who like the show. And now we have a way for people to like the show. So, to say that it was like a 10-year trial and error process to a certain extent, and then of course it ended up being the simplest solution possible, because that's what it always is. So that also feeds into my earlier question where we were asking, how does it feel? And I said, a little frustrating, and that's where part of the frustration definitely came in. I will answer though, the key part is, of course, do as much of it practically as you can do it practically. Cameras are very cool. Cameras are amazing, and they pick up all sorts of crazy detail. And I think the fact that I was like, and it was important too, like I'm glad that we made it now. And I always keep saying that's like the only thing that I would really change about the show, which I even wouldn't, is I would have said it in 2008 instead of 2017. The only reason we said it in 2017 was that we filmed it in 2016. And so we were like, yeah, screw it, it's a year, pick it. And we didn't want to limit ourselves to making anime references that were just from 2009 or 2008. And that in of itself, especially like at that time, to put that level of thought and that level of preciousness into it, that almost seems like pretentious in of itself. Or I'm like, no, I want to make an Attack on Titan reference. And if we had to be like, no, this is a 2008 set period piece. We can only make references to freaking Yu Yu Hakusho and anything that only came out then, or whatever. But also, like, the point of the show isn't to be accurate about that kind of stuff,
right?
But all the costumes were basically hot glued on the day by like our freaking costume designer Andrew. And I think that's especially now, it's like, oh no, that's what people like about the show. People like that everything looks completely handmade and thrown together, because especially there was a time in anime con culture where that was the norm. I actually saw somebody when I was at a convention in Alabama, Comic-Con, and I saw someone who was going as like, you know, whoever the person with like the ears and the face paint from Naruto is, you know, the guy who wears like the all black suit guy that has like the weird cat. I don't remember.
Kabuto. It's like little Kabuto. Black ears and purple. Yeah.
Going at him, but he just had a piece of duct tape for his Konoha headband.
Correct.
Like it was just a piece of duct tape, and I'm like, I like that so much better than an official headband. I like the duct tape Sharpie Konoha headband more than some official prop, quote unquote. And so I think that like that adds to it. To get to the question that you're all really dying for, how did we do the tentacle effect? So the answer
that's a question.
The answer being it's very obvious, but it came out perfectly. And also, funny enough, that was also our costume designer Andrew. That was him and his friend Michelle in that scene, because Andrew the crazy drag club kid, they're down for anything and everything, and I'm like, do you want to? They're also you know very gay, so that only added to the fun of it. Where I was just,
right. Love that.
Do you want to have sex with your friend? You know, gyrate into having sex with Michelle on camera. He's like, absolutely.
Why not? That's a Tuesday.
And then, of course, you know, at the start to every great story is, so we went down to K-Town and we bought an octopus. You know, you can just buy a bunch of octopus tentacles, and we cut them up, and we lubed those things up, and we put them on them, and then while they were at it, we had them go slow, and then we had one can pull the tentacle away. Yeah. And they're doing it, and we pull the tentacle away. And then when you reverse the footage, it looks like the tentacle is crawling.
I knew it.
And very true to the American Werewolf in London effect. When you don't show a lot of it, when you just show little clips
just enough.
of it, just enough to make it look convincing, it came out better than it had any right to in that sense. So that was
that's awesome.
Practical tentacle scene.
Awesome.
Right there.
Love that.
Shocked people to know there was a lot of compositing, but it was all removing stuff from the background.
Oh,
right.
So like in the first episode, because we shot the first episode in Compton, so that was like all in the LA area. And I always, when I was doing test screenings of it, there's a part where Mari looks back in her seat when she's talking to Toki, and she says, "Excited for Kodokan." And every time it was that scene, somebody would lean over to me and say, "Where did you guys film this?" And the reason why they asked that question was because there was a giant palm tree in the background. And that I noticed, you're not paying attention to the scene, you're paying attention to the palm tree. So I had to remove all the palm trees with Photoshop and compositing.
Wow.
In post right there. And so there's a lot of stuff that, like, if Captain Disillusion watched the show, he would flag me so bad. Like this 2Kawaii4Comfort would not survive a Captain D-esque comb down.
It'd be too much.
But yeah. So and as for the Undertale scene, the short answer was that was I suck at drawing, and that seemed like a style I could draw in.
Wow.
And that's what we did. I love that.
That was it. And, you know, Undertale came out at the time, and, like, I was, you know, the phrase vaguely familiar with the whole Homestuck sphere. Not Homestuck sphere and Homestuck sphere.
That's both are accurate.
It's both. Wow. But, like, you know, I was fucking proud of Toby. Like, Undertale at that time, I still feel like somebody who an independent, like, single creator driven video game that he did all the writing and sound design and coding for has completely outclassed every movie and every movie nominated for the Academy Award that year. Nothing that was made in the mainstream Western media comes close to the marvel and just incredible nature of Undertale.
Yeah.
So, you know, I guess it was just a shout out in that kind of sense, because it's a remarkable game, and it's cool to see something. It's cool in my generation to see something like that happen. But again, like many things, it was just a practical measure. I would personally even change the lookout of that, because it feels so weird. Like, it's all, you know, I almost didn't want it to be that recognizable, but people become attached to it. So I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. I'll leave it. But the answer just being, it was supposed to be live action. It was supposed to be a live action flashback, and we didn't have the budget for it, and we didn't have time to find kids. So, and which was funny, because I was always saying when we were making the show, it was going to be like completely naturalistic. Like, I wanted nothing, just completely doing that. And then I was like, fuck, we have to do this. And then the more people said, the more it's like, those were actually the elements that people really started liking about it, were the sort of like weird expressionistic parts. And the more I look back at it, I'm like, you know what? That is actually a really cool part of the show. And I don't think it hits the audience over the head, and I don't think it's done in too hokey of a way. You know, there's a part of me where there was like, it was where I'll say this, because they just did the Scrubs just did a freaking reboot. And I just saw a reel for the new Scrubs reboot, and as much as I have my own weird nostalgic sense about Scrubs, I'm like, there's a world where these flashbacks feel a lot more like that, and I'm glad they don't feel like that, you know. Like, whoa, I'm the main character, but now I'm in an afro, and now we're dancing the 70s funky soul music because it's somehow related to the scene that JD is. Yeah, you know, whatever.
Yeah. I haven't seen the new season yet. We're actually rewatching the old season of Scrubs.
I was gonna say, hot take. I would watch a 1-season Scrubs anime. If you made like a 7-episode Scrubs OVA, I would be all about that shit. I am so down for a Scrubs OVA.
Oh my god, that's so good.
Please continue.
No, you're good. I just wanted to add that I think I just really appreciate all the practical effects you did. Andre was saying how much he is a cinema guy, but I went to art school specifically for sculpture. So I love when things in a scene are real and built, and I love just seeing the care that goes into being like, oh, I know that character, you know, just glued on that set today, and that's happened to me at many anime convention where I have to like kind of shift in the morning and go, but this isn't working, so I have to do this right now, 10 minutes before the con starts. So I just thought that I think that's what hurt me so much. Like when I was watching the show, I'm like, it just feels so real, like I am there with them because of how it's all put together. And then there is that like fantasy mystical portion where we are seeing what might be going on in their minds, like with Undertale and with the comic book strip that happens later when I forgot the character's name. When Spencer is trying to find not Toki, he's trying to find
Rita, I think.
Rita, and just all these like fun little things that happen in between. But I'm like, oh, there was so much care put into this. And even though the tentacles scene like freaked me out because I wouldn't want to touch them, I was like, oh, that's so cool.
Like, I was all Team Toki until that happened.
Until that happened, I was like, oh my lord. I was like, girl, I can't even go through it again. I can't go through it again.
I will say this. Here's what I will say to that, because Sarah Livant, who plays Toki, she's an actual seasoned weeb.
Love that.
You know, most of the cast, they were putting on airs to a certain extent, but Sarah's diehard in the culture. Was vital that, you know, that was part in the first draft. And then I talked to her later, and I was like, hey, you know, the tentacle thing, I know it can be a bit much. Maybe it was just like they were making out, or maybe they were just having regular sex with it. And she went, oh, no, it has to be weird.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And you can tell her.
Sarah insisted, no, this is what would happen. This is...
Yeah, if she listened, you need to tell her, I love that she did it. It just made me want to crawl out of my skin, and it's so funny because like I'm a part of like the monster lover community.
Yeah.
I would love to kiss Mothman right on his bug mouth, but it's something about like seeing it like when you're not expecting it. It's just like oh, like it's like please. Be gone, but it was very well done. And then just like you know, like when you get that like secondhand shame or secondhand cringe, I was like. The fact, because the show feels so real, I'm like, oh my god, it's in a shared hotel room that anyone can go in.
So
lock the bathroom.
Well, I confess. Listen, there is a lot of. Is 2Kawaii4Comfort the most logically plot-driven story on the planet? No, absolutely not. There are several massive plot holes that I think that if you
sense for her to have done that. It makes sense.
In a sense, no, and no. There's no reason why she shouldn't have just locked the fucking door.
Correct.
There's no reason, other than there was some reason where I was just like, for some reason, all I knew when I was writing this originally in the first draft, I don't know why, but in like the earliest stages, Toki was just going to be like, just an overweight woman who is dressed up as Katara from Avatar: The Last Airbender for some reason. But all I knew was that she was that Spencer would walk in on her crying and masturbating. And I don't know why, but that was always at the heart of that character. And then when
That's her core.
At the core. And that was the seed. I'll just say that wasn't the core. That was the seed.
Okay.
But when I met Sarah a couple times because we did the same like internship. But it was just one day when I was like seeing her because she used to just wear this giant poofy hat, like this real like an owl cap, like 70s style cap. And there was something incredibly endearing about just this sweet shy girl who always wore this massive hat. And then I was thinking about Toki. I was like, oh, you know what? Sarah, you know, she does a theater internship. She can act and perform. She'd be freaking great for this.
Right.
And that's how that all happened. Which to talk about, because that was some interesting stuff that you said. You're in the monster community. You have your thoughts on tentacle porn.
Yeah.
What irks you about tentacle porn specifically versus other monster type?
Let's attack this, Kayla.
So I mean, I think it's because when it comes to loving monsters, the monsters are they have some form of human thought. They are humanoid, and tentacle porn is typically just an animal. It's just a squid.
Alien in that sense,
and the thing is, like, I'm like, alien's fine. Like, let's look at the oh my god, the video game that came out with the Vampire Man that everyone's obsessed about, but also it's like D&D themed. Andre, help me.
Oh,
you played
Baldur's
it with Sam.
Gate.
Baldur's Gate. And there's a mind flayer that very much has like the octopus face, and that's fine. If it's those tentacles, that's fine. But when it comes to like just the octopus, I'm like, that's an animal, and then that leans into the territory of like
bestiality,
and the animal can't consent, and it doesn't know what it's doing, and it's probably also dying. So that's where like my crawling out of my skin comes from, because we've all seen. I'm sure we've all seen it's The Fisherman's Wife, which is that Japanese painting. You know,
in our show, he has a face.
He had a face. I closed my eyes. I was like, oh.
Camera. It's turned away from camera.
Right. If he had a face, because I loved the Guillermo del Toro Shape of Water, and that's a fish man, but it's a fish man. Fish man. It's not a fish. It's a fish
Not
man.
Just a fish.
So I think when it because I always tell people, I'm like, I'm a branch off of the furry community, like we're cousins, you know. So it's and then on the furries in the middle, monster lovers are on that side, and then people who lean more towards like animals, just being animals, is on the far other side. We're not related. That's a cousin twice removed. I don't know them.
This is a weird analogy, and I don't know how accurate this is. It's the difference between I want to have sex with a zombie versus I'm a necrophiliac.
Correct. There is that, because that movie that come out about a zombie who had like gained sentience and then was like dating a girl.
Like Warm Bodies or something.
Warm Bodies, exactly. The level of like Warm Bodies where it's like this person is alive in a way versus that thing that's not moving on the ground. And I like that it's cold. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, where is the line?
I came here to make valid points.
Yes.
Doesn't matter. The points are valid.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and it's hard because like I am the resident freak of the podcast. I feel like I always try to pull Taylor and Andre to be like, and look at this, and they'll be like, no, Kayla, no, and I'm like, but wouldn't it be funny? Because it is funny. Yeah. Because bodies are weird in general, so why not just like be funny about it? And I always try to be like, oh look, this monster you could like, and unless for them it has a very feminine human girl face and a mostly feminine body, but they're blue, then they're fine with it. And it's so hard. It's so hard to have them just be like, couldn't she have a monster face? Wouldn't that be fun?
No.
And that's why movies always, and Luke, I don't mean to drag you into the rabbit hole, but you kind of opened up the door. But it's always like, there's this conversation around like a lot of women love monster stories because we see, typically we're looking at like the personality of the person, and then what's on top of it is not really important. And then on the opposite side, men are very visual creatures. So they're like, the personality is secondary to, can I kiss that? Whereas, so that's why most stories, going all the way back to Beauty and the Beast, it's like, oh, I may be a jerk, but couldn't you love me anyway? You taught me how to read, and now you're connected to me.
That's the sexiest part of Beast. It's not just the hair. It's just like...
Yeah, I taught him how to read. That's my man's. I taught him how to read. And it's, we can continue to find like amazing, beautiful things in these characters, and that's what makes them lovable. But that is much harder for men, which is why when you go to anime conventions or just talk in general, it's very like, well, she's got to be pretty. She has to have a human mouth. Kiss a bug, kiss a moth girl. That's my soapbox, and I'll step off.
Zoe, you got any questions? Let's just get off this subject right now before we get too far in the rabbit hole.
Well, I mean, I feel like this could kind of lead into something. What Luke was talking about earlier, with the characters, the two characters that interested me the most were Randy and Mari, and I just want to ask specifically. You don't have to out anyone or anything like that. Is Randy inspired by someone?
Chan? Oh, is this the Chris Chan thing?
Like, yes, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of gives Chris Chan-esque visually, but is Randy specifically inspired by someone you knew? And if so, how did you make them? It's very interesting because he's you kind of feel bad for him, but if you kind of think about it, it's like, should I feel bad for him? And that's what interests me about Randy as a character the most.
Yeah, no, and I'm actually glad that you have complicated feelings about him as a character, because I have complicated feelings about Randy as a character. I think the boilerplate answer is everyone's with any character in any fiction, they're always an amalgamation of different people. You know, it's never, if you're trying to write one specific character, that's gossip fan fiction, you know, that's poorly acted. There's one person and they're supposed to be Rachel because she was a bitch to me in 3rd grade. I don't know. You know, I think Randy's like a lot of different people who I've met under different circumstances. And it's weird of just being like, you know, and to kind of even dovetail it back to a question that you guys all have, that a lot of people have, you know, these characters have all completely different ages. It makes no logical sense. Why is Mari caretaking after Rita, who's like this, you know, high school girl who really should be with her freaking dad? And I have no rational or logical explanation for that other than they all happen to live close to each other and they all go to the con. And other than that, you know, I think that, like, to me, it's more important that because it felt like those were always the mix of personalities that you always encountered in those groups. Rather than, like, you always saw that one specific person and that one specific area. But it was like, no, those were the personalities at the very least.
Sure.
You know, it's those personalities and that people, not necessarily synergized in that relationship. But I felt like it was, you know, Randy was kind of born out of an element of this has to be there. You know?
Yeah.
More so than, and I almost kind of say this in a lot, I feel like a lot of the show was never written because I wanted something to happen. It's because something had to happen. You know, this isn't, it's not a wish fulfillment show. It's not like what these characters did because I desired for that to happen. It happened because that's what felt like it meant to happen. If that kind of makes a thing. And
it felt like it has happened. Like, you know, I mentioned several times in the podcast, I'm like, I feel like I know these people. I feel like I've been approached, by men like Randy. So it felt very real to the point where I'm like, I can feel bad for him because I think we all have come from a place of like where we feel rejected and we act out in a certain way, or you know people and it's like, you know, it doesn't necessarily make you a bad person, but it's like, it's kind of like the Breaking Bad effect where it's like, oh my gosh, I want to like Walter White so bad, but he just keeps being this way.
I think, and here's the honest truth. When I was very young, I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. And I think that, like, you know, what 2Kawaii4Comfort is an attempt to try to make a story about autism without ever actually saying the word autism out loud, which has succeeded, which, like, people watch the first episode and it's like, no, and I think there's a statement of being like, I have such a disconnect between the vocabulary and the fiction and the reality. You know, I think that what people say autism is versus my lived experience of it versus how it's portrayed in fiction are three not just different things, but three ideologically clashing things. Especially when it comes to, you know, what people, and I can get into more on this in a bit, but, like, you know, there's something insidious and insipid about the state of autistic representation, especially in the mainstream media. Like, there is still this sense, and I've been saying this a lot in shorthand, where, like, there's a weird thing where it's like queer media is generally made by and for queer people.
Right.
Black media, generally made by and for black people. Autistic media is still like the one marginalized media group where the entertainment being made is not being made by and for autistic people. It's stuff like Love on the Spectrum, where these people are basically, you know, I'm gonna freaking say it, are treated kind of like zoo animals for the sake of making neuroatypical people feel better about themselves. And that's fucked, but it's also like profitable, and it's also like this is gonna sound weird, where I'm like, what am I going to do? Try to cause a complaint about a sustainable business model right now?
It's literally some of the people on that show have gotten so much success. So it's at one point it's like, baby, get your coin, go on the show. Yes. But also, do you want to go on the show?
It's
it's weird.
It's very weird, and it's honestly very icky. And I think that, like, with Randy, like, when I was growing up, like, when it came to autistic figures in media in frickin' general, we didn't have role models. There wasn't like the to just use a broad example, like the Michael Jordan of autism, or like the Steven Spielberg of autism. You have people who you can retroactively say, oh, they were autistic, or they were doing that. But who the most famous autistic person was? It was frickin' Chris Chan. It was school shooters and Chris Chan, and those were the major autistic figures in media when I was growing up. And guess what? Shocker! I don't think that instills a sense of pride.
No.
I'm going to say that I was like, thank God for my diagnosis. We're such winners. We're such a winner-driven diagnosis and community, and that's not meant to and unfortunately, that's not meant to be like a shame on Christian. Christian's just doing their own thing. They've become like this Quasimodo type fool now, a lolcow. Like, whenever we're saying lolcow, we're saying Quasimodo. Like, we're saying the exact same people that were like crowning the Festival of Fucking Fools and Hunchback of Notre Dame. And you're doing it with autistic people. You know, I freaking relate. Hunchback of Notre Dame was like the Disney movie that came out when I was of age to and I was like, God, I'm relating with Quasimodo way too freaking much about a lot of stuff. And I think that with Randy, it came, honestly, it's as much as a negative mirror of like a lot of traits that I saw, and a lot of traits that honestly that I also had growing up. I honestly think that it's brave of people not to defend Randy, but to see that there's that side of him, that there are people that have weird sheltered upbringings and don't what I'm also going to say when it comes to freaking sex and romance and autism, trying to figure that stuff out is trying to trying to figure out skydiving naked. It's complicated to figure out sex and romance, especially when you're trying to, to be honest, kind of like driving, the only way you figure it out is manually, it's not like you can watch a driver safety instruction video on it. You can watch people talking about it, and you can listen to discussions, of course, and you can see, you can get educated. But, there's getting educated, and then there's experience and understanding, and those are two totally different things.
Right.
And I think it does take an open mind to process that, no, there are people that don't experience that, quote unquote, normally. And I think that that's actually a scary thing for a lot of people to realize. There's people that start saying I don't forgive Randy. I think Randy's a terrible person. And I'm like, I think Randy is a difficult person. I think Randy, and but I don't think he's actively a malevolent force. I don't think he's a predator.
He doesn't do anything. No, he doesn't do anything. It's just more so it's like I want to sit him down and go, hey,
yes.
These are the yes and no's of interacting with somebody you like, and
he deserves that, and he deserves that.
Yeah.
And for the sake of dramatic structure, he doesn't get that in that scene.
No, and we don't get to have that. I used to always say that I have such a hard time dealing with shorts, or movies because the time is limited, and I need more time with a character so that I can see them grow and be more and become more. And I have a really hard time like being like, it's not enough. Because I'm definitely like of the three of us, I'm like rainbows and sunshine, which is why like some movies and media sit really and monsters. But some things will like sit really bad with me because I'm like, oh my god, I didn't get to see them have their happy ending, and now I'm gonna vomit about it, and I'll never be able to watch it again because it left a bad taste in my mouth. And that's hard sometimes because I want everyone to come to at least an okay place. It's like, does he know it's all right to keep trying to talk to girls, but just not like that?
To kind of sidetrack off of that, when we say the word bad taste, I always am relieved that like the biggest thing that people get, nobody so far, and it's happened with a few people, I think understandably so. Like I want this show to like be intense and to have these, but I don't want it to leave a bad taste in anybody's mouth.
Oh, it did.
You know,
I will be rewatching this and crying about it, but I'll be rewatching it.
Because, like, you know, when it comes to Randy as a character, he is a giant walking bag of stereotypes. Like, I'm not going to deny that. And I think that, like, you know, the way that I've at least justified that or talking about that, because I think this show has been doing something in terms of neurodivergent representation that is sorely absent from media, is like all these characters are stereotypes, but it's a show about the anxiety of dealing with neurodivergent and neuroatypical people. And you know who experiences a lot of that anxiety? Neurodivergent and neuroatypical people, because it's us dealing with the only people that understand and relate to us. So, like, oh no,
it's the weather. I'm telling you, it's so bad. It's so bad. No.
Oh yeah, he's gone.
Andre and I are, we're not neighbors, but we're in the same. We're very close, and it's been so bad out here. He died.
Oh boy. Do you want me to hang tight for like 4 minutes, see if we get?
Well, the also thing is too, like, I don't know, Kayla, what your timeline looks like. I don't know what Zoe's timeline looks like, but emergency just came up for me, so I might have to leave
no.
the next, like, 2 minutes.
Oh no.
I'm okay.
Oh yeah, he just messaged, there goes the rain for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it might have cut off his stuff.
We might have to cut it off short because this has been a great like podcast episode. I really appreciate you coming on.
Totally.
Luke, real quick before you pop,
I will say this.
and
if you guys watch Metropolis, I will come back and talk Metropolis with you.
That'd be so great.
That'd be great. Real quick, I guess lay out some plans what you have looking for. I know I'm not kind of announced somewhat of an animated part of 2Kawaii4Comfort that you're thinking about. So before we kind of pop off,
I will give the brief lowdown. I will wrap things up then.
Yeah.
So like the plan right now, because we never made the finale.
Right.
The plan was always to make the finale. And there's a part of me that when we were doing that, I was just like, especially now the cast is kind of aged out. It's been a long time. But I'm like, I still think it says a lot about like the barrier of quality that we hit when we made this show, that like the old episodes still hold up and they're still watchable.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the only way that this could feel worthwhile is if we make the finale in anime. Like, it's the only possible way to make 10 years of payoff. And this is because when I was making the show, I'm like, we don't want, one of the big rules was I was like, this is the anti-anime. You're never actually going to see anime on screen at any point during 2Kawaii4Comfort. It's just it's a show about mental illness, and I'm like, the only way to possibly follow up the anti-anime is to then make it an anime retroactively.
Right.
And so right now we have a teaser that we're getting the gears on. We have a proof of concept short that I'm actually really excited about. So we're working on like sort of just a test run, like a 3 to 5 minute animated short, just to like show how the characters would look and the world would look. And that's actually like a whole new mini story. So that's like a mini episode, which I didn't write originally, but the more I've been working at, the more I'm like, oh, this is actually a really fun idea for a short story. And I think the cool thing is there's so much exciting stuff happening in the indie animation space, and we can bring something to that that's really different and that not quite being like done with all the other cartoons and animation that's going on right now. So I'm very excited about that. And then, of course, all of that will hopefully lead to either a crowdfunding campaign or a private sense, because we want to do the finale episode as an animated thing, and then one more bonus episode, theoretically, if we get the resources for it. And that would be live action. And if you can figure out the show, you probably know exactly what it is, but we don't want to say it out loud because that would ruin the surprise, now wouldn't it? And it's like, well, what do you guys want? Do you guys want a surprise, or do you guys not want a surprise? You know, you guys want
I'll take a surprise.
Obvious surprise in the world if we reach this stretch goal or not.
I want a surprise, and we can help promote the goals on our pages for sure.
We appreciate that. Yes. So, but to answer what I was going to say earlier, the only reason why I said a difference between season 1 and season 2, I always kind of wanted these characters to tell this very specific story. Like, I never wanted it to be like, and then they go on other stuff, and then you do that. I kind of like, no, I want this to be, I just want these characters. It's almost like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Like, I just kind of want, like, this one particular story from this group of people. But what I always really wanted to do was to have it be like a Skins type scenario, or to make 2Kawaii4Comfort an anthology show where each season would take place at Kodokan, but it would be a completely different cast. It would be a completely different scenario. Because there's a lot of stuff we didn't cover in 2Kawaii4Comfort. Like, we never really like I'm curious to know what trans issues are like in the anime fandom, or like you know, with black anime fandom, which is its whole other, you know, massive subsect and movement. Like, I want to see these kinds of stories be realized and this culture be seen on screen in a live action context. But the hope that I have, which would be cool, because I would love to do 3 seasons. I would still love for it to be live action, but to always have the finale be animated. Like, it's always an anime finale, and I feel like that would be such a fun way to do this as a series and as a project. And hopefully we'll get to do more, and so that's fun to think about.
That's awesome.
Andre.
Go ahead.
No, okay, go ahead, Kayla.
Andre just he messaged us. He's not gonna be able to come back, but he wanted to say what an amazing guest you were on the show, and he put it in all caps. And obviously, you know, this has been so much fun, and I felt like you agreed with me on a lot of things. So I'm just gonna, you might be my favorite. You know, this has been very fun for me. I feel very seen. So it's been a hoot and a holler. But sorry, Taylor, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I do want to reiterate that too, Luke. You were amazing. It just sucks that under these circumstances we have to end the podcast.
I know.
If we do an episode on Metropolis, which we will definitely reach out to you and try to come back, because that'd be super, super, super awesome.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much, and also. Thank you for what were the words that you said? This is the greatest piece of media that has ever existed.
I thought it was Andre quoting that when he said that in the last episode.
Funny, you guys, where I was like, well, that's pretty high praise right there. I guess I should come on the podcast.
Oh yeah.
That was Andre saying
one of the best. I think I was one of the best pieces of media I've seen. In a long time.
How did we compare to season 2 of live action One Piece? If you had to pick one.
I haven't seen season 2 of live action One Piece yet because I'm still not over
the podcast. I need to leave.
He has to go. I'm sorry, Taylor.
I mean, they nailed the Brooke cameo. That's all they had to do. They nailed the
They
Brooke.
did, yes.
I did see that clip. I did see that clip, and that was
true. Amazing. That was well
yes. All right.
Okay. For Taylor, aka Nostalgia, as told by Zoe, who's not here, Kelly's Everything, and Luke from Rhino Stew Productions, we want to thank you guys for listening to this podcast. Thank you to Luke. Go watch 2Kawaii4Comfort if you have not, or watch it again if you have already. Thank you guys for hanging with us. That's been everything. Peace out.
Bye.